Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going deep on Ariana Grande, but not just as a pop star.
Right.
We're going to be looking at her as a musician, an artist, and a person.
Sounds good.
And get this, we're getting all this from one source. Her appearance on Hot Ones.
Ooh, spicy.
You know that show where celebrities eat those increasingly spicy wings while being interviewed?
Yeah, it's a really great format because the hot sauce, it kind of creates this space for vulnerability.
Yeah.
And you get some surprisingly honest answers.
Oh, absolutely. And one of those answers, honest answers, that really stuck with me was about her song,
Yeah.
I Wish I Hated You from Eternal Sunshine.
Oh, yeah.
And she talked about how she actually started crying the first time she heard the beat,
Wow.
like before writing any lyrics.
Interesting.
It's just amazing to think that music can be that emotionally powerful even without words.
It really is. It speaks to the way that music can tap into our emotions sometimes even before we can, articulate them.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder what her producer, Ilya, what he did musically to create that effect.
Yeah.
Was it the specific combination of instruments? Was it the tempo? The way the chords resolve?
Right.
It'd be fascinating to break down the track and analyze it from a music theory perspective.
Right. Like, what sonic choices did he make that evoked such a strong, visceral reaction?
Thinking about the construction of music,
Yeah.
this brings us to something else Ariana talked about. Her early fascination with looping machines.
Uh-huh.
She was inspired by Imogen Heap.
That's cool. And this early fascination with looping really speaks to Ariana's musicality, doesn't it?
Totally.
It shows that she's not just a singer, but she's a sonic architect, interested in the building blocks of sound.
Yeah, it's so cool how she got into the more technical side of music production at such a young age.
Yeah.
And for those of you listening who might not be familiar with looping, it essentially allows an artist like Ariana to layer their vocals and create these intricate harmonies and textures in real time.
It's like she's building a sonic world right there on stage. Yeah.
Speaking of creating worlds, we have to talk about Wicked.
Oh, yes.
You were blown away by her commitment to singing live on set, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Even while doing those flying scenes.
It's pretty rare these days, especially in a big budget musical.
Most movie musicals rely heavily on pre-recorded tracks, but Ariana insisted on singing live,
Wow.
even while hanging from wires.
I can't even imagine.
The director, John Chu, was apparently skeptical at first,
Oh, really?
but came around quickly when he saw her dedication and the results.
Wow. Yeah. I read that he was incredibly impressed, even calling her a master of her voice. It wasn't just her own performance that she focused on.
Right.
She was also super complimentary of her co-star Cynthia Erivo and how powerful her voice was,
Yeah.
especially while doing those difficult stunts.
Absolutely. It's great to see that level of respect and support between two powerhouse vocalists.
For sure. Now, you mentioned earlier that you were curious about how sad songs are crafted.
Yeah.
Well, Ariana provided some great insights on that in the interview.
That's great.
She talked about how chord progressions and the composer's intention can play a huge role in shaping the emotional tone of a song. It's like the music itself can be happy or sad even before you add lyrics.
That's a really good point, and it shows a deep understanding of how music works.
Yeah.
She's clearly not just relying on the words to convey emotion, but she's using musical elements themselves to create specific feelings.
Right. She also brought up something David Byrne said, that the better a singer's voice is, the harder it is to believe what they're singing. What do you think about that?
That's an interesting thought, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe there's something about a raw, imperfect vocal that can make a song feel more authentic and emotionally gripping.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, a beautifully controlled voice like Ariana's can also be incredibly moving,
Right.
especially when paired with lyrics that hit you right in the feels.
Totally. It's like the voice is another instrument that can be used to express different emotions.
Exactly. And the way a singer uses their voice can really enhance the emotional impact of a song.
For sure. Now, here's where things get a little more complicated.
Okay.
Ariana opened up about leaked music.
Yeah.
And how it creates this dilemma for artists.
Right.
Obviously, it's disheartening to have your work shared without your consent.
Yeah.
But she also acknowledged the fan devotion behind it.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's a tricky situation for sure.
It is. It's a real tightrope walk for artists, isn't it?
Yeah,
Leaked music can feel like a violation of their creative control.
totally.
But on the other hand, it shows the incredible passion and eagerness of their fan base.
It makes you wonder where we draw the line between fan enthusiasm and respecting an artist's creative process.
That's a great point.
It's not always a clear-cut answer.
It's something worth thinking about.
Yeah.
How would you feel if something that you'd poured your heart and soul into
Oh, yeah.
was shared with the world before you were ready?
I think we all want our work to be appreciated, but there's a difference between sharing and having it taken from you. It's a tough spot for artists to be in, especially in today's digital age, where things spread so quickly.
It's a conversation that's worth having, and it's commendable that Ariana is willing to talk about it so openly.
For sure. Now, it's also fascinating to see how Ariana is evolving as an artist.
Yeah.
She mentioned retiring some songs from her live shows,
Yeah.
particularly those tied to difficult periods in her life.
It takes a lot of courage to be that honest with your audience.
Yeah.
To say, hey, this song doesn't serve me anymore, and I'm choosing to step away from it.
Yeah, it's a reminder that even the most successful, seemingly confident people go through periods of struggle and heartache.
Right.
And it's inspiring to see how she's using her platform to talk about mental health
Yeah.
and the importance of therapy, which, is something that's close to my heart as well.
It's a powerful message, especially for young people who might be going through similar challenges.
Yeah.
And it's refreshing to see a pop star being so open about seeking help and prioritizing their mental well-being.
Absolutely. It shows that it's okay to not be okay all the time.
Right.
And to ask for help when you need it.
For sure.
But it's not just about stepping away from things, it's also about finding new meaning in them.
Yeah.
She mentioned how sometimes the audience's reaction can make performing those more emotional songs enjoyable again.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
It's like the shared experience transforms the meaning for her.
Right.
It's no longer just about her personal pain, but it's about connecting with her fans on a deeper level.
Right.
And that's something truly special.
It is. It's a reminder that even difficult experiences can be sources of growth and connection.
Absolutely.
Ready for something a bit more lighthearted.
Always.
Well, it turns out Ariana loves going to the arcade, specifically Boomers.
Oh, wow. I have to admit that was an unexpected detail.
Right. It's so refreshing to see a celebrity embracing simple pleasures.
Yeah.
It makes her seem much more relatable.
It does.
Like, hey, she's just like us. She loves air hockey and trying to win those giant stuffed animals.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it humanizes her in a way that all the red carpets and award shows can't.
Totally. Speaking of relatable moments,
Yeah.
she also talked about being vegan
Okay.
and how she navigates family meals,
Right.
which I thought was super interesting.
It's a common struggle for anyone who's adopted a different lifestyle than their loved ones.
Yeah.
And it shows that even with all her fame and fortune, she still faces everyday challenges, just like the rest of us.
Okay, and can we just acknowledge the sheer absurdity of her teaching a vocal warm-up while her mouth is on fire from hot sauce?
Oh my gosh, it's hilarious. I can't believe she was able to get through with all that heat.
I know, right?
It's a testament to her professionalism and, honestly, her incredible tolerance for spice.
It's impressive, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Now, before we get too carried away with vocal warm-ups and arcade games,
Right.
let's circle back to something Ariana said about the creative process that really resonated with me.
Okay.
She talked about how she used to get notes from Max Martin.
Oh, yeah. The legendary songwriter and producer.
I remember her telling this hilarious story about recording Break Free, and Max insisted on a very specific, almost exaggerated intonation on the phrase, "Say I don't want you."
And she didn't quite understand it at the time.
Exactly, but now she totally gets it.
Yeah.
It's those little details, those unexpected choices that can make a song memorable.
It's a great example of how trusting the expertise of someone who's been there and done that
Yes.
can elevate a song to a whole other level.
Right.
Sometimes the most unconventional ideas lead to the most iconic results.
For sure.
And speaking of iconic, I think Ariana's appearance on Hot Ones definitely falls into that category.
Agreed. She completely nailed it, both the hot wings and the interview.
Yeah.
Her answers were insightful, funny, and surprisingly revealing.
Yeah.
We got a glimpse into her process as a musician, how she thinks about songwriting, and even how she deals with the pressures of fame.
Which is exactly what we were hoping to get from this deep dive.
Absolutely. It's more than just a celebrity interview.
Right.
It's a window into the mind of an artist who's constantly evolving and pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
It is. It's fascinating.
But we've still got lots more to cover.
Oh, yeah.
So stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive into the world of Ariana Grande.
Yeah, it's amazing to think about how much she's accomplished in her career already.
I know, right?
And yet she's still so young.
And one thing that really struck me was her honesty about how her relationship with some of her older songs has changed over time.
Right.
Remember when she talked about retiring certain songs from her live shows?
Yeah.
Because they're tied to painful memories.
It's a reminder that even the most successful, seemingly confident people have gone through periods of struggle and heartbreak.
Right.
I think it's incredibly brave of her to talk about that so openly.
Totally. It's a powerful message, especially for younger fans who might be going through something similar.
Yeah.
To see someone like Ariana, who has achieved so much, acknowledge those difficult emotions,
Right.
it makes it feel okay to not be okay all the time.
It does. And it also helps to normalize seeking help
Right.
and taking care of your mental well-being.
Right.
And she was very candid about her own experiences with therapy.
Exactly. And I love how she talked about how sometimes the audience's reaction can make performing those more emotional songs enjoyable again.
Yeah.
It's like the shared experience transforms the meaning for her.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
It's no longer just about her personal pain, but about connecting with her fans on a deeper level.
Right.
And that connection can be incredibly healing.
I think it speaks to the power of music to create a sense of community and shared experience,
Totally.
especially in a live setting.
Absolutely. And speaking of live performance, I was really intrigued by her comments about how she approaches singing now versus earlier in your career.
Oh, yeah.
Remember when she talked about how she used to try to hit every note perfectly, but now she's more focused on conveying emotion?
Oh, yeah. It's like she's moved beyond technical perfection and is embracing a more raw, authentic style.
Which I think makes her an even more compelling performer.
Yeah.
It's not just about hitting the high notes, but about connecting with the song on a deeper level
Right.
and allowing that emotion to come through in her voice.
It's like she's letting go of the need to be perfect and embracing the imperfections that make her human and relatable.
Exactly. And that vulnerability is what makes her music so powerful.
For sure. Now, before we move on, I want to touch on something we haven't talked about yet. Her activism.
Okay.
She's been very vocal about social justice issues,
Right.
particularly LGBTQ plus rights and racial equality.
It's inspiring to see someone with her level of fame and influence using their voice to advocate for positive change.
Yeah, she's definitely using her platform to speak out about things that she believes in, and I think that's so important, especially in today's world.
It shows a real commitment to making the world a better place.
And it also encourages her fans to get involved and make a difference.
Right.
It's like she's saying, hey, we can all do our part no matter how big or small.
And speaking of making a difference, we haven't even touched on her philanthropy.
Oh, that's true.
She supported a wide range of charitable causes, from animal welfare to disaster relief.
Oh, you're right. She's super involved in animal rescue. And I remember she donated a significant amount of money to the victims of the Manchester bombing.
It's clear that giving back is a priority for her, and that speaks volumes about her character.
Yeah, it's like she's using her success to lift others up and make a positive impact on the world.
It's truly commendable.
It is.
Now, shifting gears a bit, I want to talk about her evolution as a songwriter.
Okay.
Remember how she talked about her early work and how she's grown as a lyricist?
Yeah, she mentioned how her songwriting has become more mature and introspective over time.
Right.
Like her earlier songs were very much about relationships and heartbreak, but now she's exploring deeper themes like self-love, resilience, and finding your voice.
And that growth is reflected in her music?
Yeah.
Her lyrics are more nuanced, more poetic, and more emotionally resonant.
It's like she's finding new ways to express herself and connect with her audience on a deeper level.
And I think that's what makes her such a fascinating artist to follow.
Right.
She's constantly evolving, pushing boundaries, and challenging herself creatively.
And it's clear that she's not afraid to take risks and experiment with different sounds and styles.
Right.
Remember how she talked about her collaboration with Doja Cat on Motive?
That was a really interesting departure for her, venturing into more of an R&B sound.
Yeah.
And it worked so well. It shows that she's willing to step outside of her comfort zone and explore new musical territories.
Exactly. And that willingness to experiment is what keeps her music fresh and exciting.
Now, before we wrap up this part of the deep dive, I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier, Ariana's impact on her fans.
Oh, yeah. I think it's incredible how she's created this whole community of Arianators who are so passionate about her music and her message.
It's a testament to the power of her artistry and the genuine connection she has with her audience.
Right.
And it's clear that she values her fans deeply.
She's always interacting with them on social media, and she's been very vocal about how much their support means to her.
It's a two-way street, and that mutual respect and admiration is what makes this fandom so special.
Yeah,
Now, we've covered a lot of ground in this part of the deep dive, but we still got more to explore.
that's right. Stay tuned for the final part of our deep dive into the world of Ariana Grande, where we'll delve into her future plans, her creative vision, and what we can expect from her next.
Welcome back, you guys. It's amazing how much we've unpacked just from that one Hot Ones interview, right?
It really is, yeah. It speaks to how much Ariana shared in that conversation.
Yeah.
She didn't shy away from tough topics,
No.
and her answers were just full of insight.
Absolutely. And it makes you realize that even like global superstars are on a journey, you know?
Yeah.
They're growing and evolving just like all of us.
They're figuring things out as they go along, navigating those challenges and triumphs of life in a very public way. One thing that keeps coming back to me is Ariana's honesty about mental health and how she prioritizes self-care.
Yeah, it's such an important message, especially for young people.
Mm.
You know, she's not afraid to be vulnerable and to show that it's okay to not be okay all the time.
And that seeking help, whether it's therapy or talking to friends and family, is a sign of strength, not weakness.
Exactly. It's about taking care of yourself, both physically and mentally,
Yeah.
so you can be your best self.
I think that's one of the biggest takeaways from this deep dive for me, is that self-care is essential no matter who you are or what you do.
It is. It's a reminder that we all need to prioritize our well-being, even amidst the chaos of everyday life.
And sometimes that means, setting boundaries,
Yeah.
saying no to things, and just taking time for ourselves.
Absolutely. It's about listening to your body and your mind and giving yourself what you need to thrive.
Now, as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of Ariana Grande, I'm curious to know what you, the listener, are taking away from all of this.
Yeah. What resonated with you the most? What surprised you? What new insights did you gain about Ariana, her music, or even yourself?
These are all great questions worth pondering because while we've spent this deep dive exploring the life and career of Ariana Grande,
Yeah.
there's always something to learn about ourselves in the process.
It's about making connections, seeing reflections,
Yeah.
and finding inspiration in unexpected places.
Maybe, just maybe, Ariana's journey can inspire you to embrace your own evolution, to find your voice,
Right.
and to use it to make a positive impact on the world.
Well said.
Thanks for joining us on this deep, guys. We'll see you next time for another insightful exploration.